Hmm. 20 people who killed and how they coped. According to Reddit, number 20. I have killed 2 people. One was my mother, and one was a woman that I didn't know. My mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that had metastasized to 14 major organs and declined drastically and steadily for a few months before death was imminent. Our hospice worker told us she probably only had days left, and my mom said that what little breath she had, that she didn't want to wait until she couldn't say goodbye. Ooh. Well, she was already close to losing consciousness. My dad and I agreed to help, and the hospice nurse told us how. The nurse left, we had our time together, and we cranked up the morphine. Make sure it goes to 11 was one of the last things my mom said to me. Morbid. She died peacefully and quickly, but in my darker times, I sometimes remind myself that I killed my mother, the person I loved the most in the world. It can F with your head if you let it, so I try not to. Well, that's all you can do. The woman I didn't know was a few years after this. I was visiting my mother's best friend who lived in a very rural area, and it just so happened that my visit coincided with a pact that she said a friend had long been asked to carry out. Her neighbor, who lived a half-mile down a dirt road, was an elderly lifelong leader of the Hemlock Society, a right to die organization. She had a pulmonary disease and didn't want to suffocate to death, and the time had come for my friend to help administer some medication to help her die. I didn't feel I could help administer. It was too soon after my mom, but we went back to check on her next morning, and lo and behold, she was still alive. Well, she was still kind of lucid and wanted my friend to help or hold her as she passed. So I was asked to administer the drugs. It seemed like the right thing to do. So I did. She died, and I didn't know her at all, but that night we ate her favorite foods, and I heard stories about the kind of person she was. I learned a lot about the life of the second woman that I killed. I had depression, a raging eating disorder, and plenty of suicidal thoughts after my mom died, but it was mostly a result of losing her, not of being the one to send her on her way. And a positive result, I have relatively little to no fear of dying. Sometimes people just know when it's time for their next chapter to begin. How very optimistic. Hello to everybody in the stream chat. C-Rexa says he loves these listener. Loving them listener. Looks like Hannah's having fun with these new emotes that I threw in there. So I'm glad for you guys. Wow. Hello, Will Smith is my dad. As we continue up the list of 20 people who killed and how they cope, we arrive at number 19. That's a good age. Well, damn, as a Henfield. Thanks for the subscription. He had that's not what that says. He had dragged a young woman into a park in the early hours and tried to, every night I gotta read that word, and tried to bing bong her. You know what I'm talking about? A couple of times, but she had fought him off. Atta girl. I was walking home, and by the time I had stumbled across them, he had tried to throw her off a bridge. She was desperately clinging to the side while hanging off of the other side of the rail. At the time, I felt nothing because our altercation took me mere seconds to surprise him, throw him over, and pull her up. My man, you threw the rapist over. Okay. Over the next several months, coping with it was simply making sure she was okay and being there if she needed someone to talk to. Long term, my feelings have always been he made his decision to hurt someone on his own. He lost the basic courtesy and respect all people deserve and need to earn. It was not possible to rehabilitate him in that moment. I had more worries about the bugs I may have walked on while in the park. She was by far my main concern. Now that's a cold ass thing to say, and I appreciate this motherfucker. I want y'all to think about that. This dude tried to rape a lady, okay? So my man caught him from behind and just whoop, hoisted him right off a bridge. You know what I'm talking about? And then he says, I had more concerns for the bugs that I might have stepped on in the park, my dude. In the park, my dude. She was by far my main concern. We both lied a little when the cops turned up. I would do it again if needed. Although maybe I would chat less to random strangers at the train station about silly things before walking home so that I would have been able to arrive at the park earlier and maybe stop the whole terrible ordeal happening to her in the first place. Well, could have gone differently if you didn't get there at the exact moment, but you never know. But you never know. Here's hoping everybody's having a sexy time in the stream. And here's hoping everybody appreciates my weirdo emojis that I've thrown into the chat. Tell me which ones make sense and which ones should go. I don't know about those square ones. I feel like I'm hearing my mouth a lot. Give me a second. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm hearing it a lot. As we continue up the list, we arrive at number 18. What a legal age. My mom has Alzheimer's and dementia, the end stage, along with a ton of other ailments. She was miserable and suffering. She had always told me that she would never want to live like the way she had been. My dad couldn't let her go, and she is his soulmate. I gave her morphine until she passed. I don't feel guilty, she's good now, and I know that. My dad would never speak to me again if he knew. Well, hot damn. I like the way that Cheese last name couldn't type by properly the first time. So that's what's up. Michael Palermo says Kyle Streamlabs link is down. Are we sure about that? Give me a moment to make sure everything is working. Okay. Oh shit, what if I fucked up and the Streamlabs link that's down there isn't the correct one? I suppose there's only one way to find out. I think this one works. Let me try to make sure that it is what it's supposed to be in the Bing Bong section here. Or I could fix it later. Everything's always broken because I fucked something up. Oh yeah, that's the wrong link. Jesus Christ. I don't think that hot saves either. Maybe if you reload the page, but either way, nothing works. That's the Kyle way. Oh boy. Wouldn't be a Kyle stream if things went perfectly. You know what I mean? So as we roll up, we arrive at number 17. I drove over a man's head with a car. Damn, you living in China or what? Or Brazil? Sorry, it was at night on a busy road and I could not use high beams. Okay. He was already laying in the middle of the road. I had no chance of avoiding him. He was drunk and he died in the hospital or on the way there. I felt bad for a time, but I was probably not the first one to drive over him. Someone probably did a hit and run on him before me, so this was not my fault. After a short while, I did feel better. Y'all out here running over people's heads with the tires of your car. My God. My God. As we arrive at number 16, my sister had an eating disorder, and I was ignorant towards it. Or ignorant of it, I like to think. I just figured that she wasn't eating as much, but that wasn't a problem, right? I didn't realize how long she hadn't been eating properly. We lived together alone, and I didn't notice. One day I got a call from one of her colleagues saying that she'd collapsed at work. I immediately went into denial. There's no way that this could be that bad. She's just exhausted. A few days of rest and food and she'll be okay. She died a few hours later in the emergency room. And I just kind of shut down for a few days. It was like I couldn't process anything.
Blaze Daddy Kentucky L.
No. I appreciate that, my man, Michael. That sounds way louder than the other one. I appreciate that 420 donation. Know that my heart goes out to you, Michael Palermo.
Smoke weed every day.
That's probably way too loud, but you know what am I going to do about it? Not much. Excuse me. A few days of rest and food and she'll be okay, is what I thought. She died a few hours later in the emergency room. I just kind of shut down for a few days. It was like I couldn't process anything. I don't think I still 100% believe it. Well, this was a little under a year ago, and I can't ever say with a straight face that it's not my fault. I am still just kind of going through the motions each day, because there isn't much I can care about anymore. Man, to anybody who's lost anybody listening in the stream, here's hoping that you don't consider yourself just without purpose or going through the motions because you've lost someone near and dear to you. You have to look forward to a time where maybe you'll be thankful that you continue to push forward. And speaking of pushing forward, as we travel up the list of 20 people who killed and how they cope, we arrive at number 15. Didn't have much feeling about it, which bothered me more than the actual killing itself. I was in military service in Africa. A responder says, was it because of who you killed or why? Do you think you'd feel differently if you had killed someone in a different scenario or part of the world? The original poster says partially both, who and why mixed in with a generally part of me that's always just been a bit different. I grew up on a farm in South Africa and was exposed to killing animals early on as a child, which I think desensitized me to an extent. Or at least that's what I like to tell myself. I'd like to think that if it were different scenarios or places, that it would have more of an emotional impact on me, but that would have to fall outside of Africa in general. I've since moved to Europe and never been put in a situation where it necessitated anything quite so dramatic here. Something I'd like to keep... Something I'd like to keep that way and not have to find out. Looks like Michael Palermo and Hannah are the only mods anymore. Interesting. Perhaps this will be a new era of the Kyle streams. As we continue, number 14. Damn, baby. I myself did not directly take any actions that led to the death. This was my friend, who doesn't talk about the event or have a Reddit account, so I figured that I would share, as I was along for the ride. A few years ago, I had a good friend that had a very fast hot rod / tuner car. He spent several a year doing all sorts of crazy work on. He loved to race other people and took racing lessons at a big-time racetrack for a few years. I felt somewhat safe in this car because he had a fabricator install a roll cage with some race-spec safety harness. That being said, we never wore helmets in the car. I also trusted his driving due to his experience, and although an adrenaline junkie, he had no death wish. Intriguing. One day we're out carving up some twisty rural back roads, and there's lights and sirens behind us. He pulls over, figuring that we were about to get a major ticket. Instead, the cop car just goes flying past us. headed somewhere more important. Someone says I have really bad anxiety. I live alone. My apartments aren't a total safe place, so nights are horrible for me. I found your channel. Damn, that must have gone on to say more things. But it didn't trigger the text-to-speech. Let me pull that up in Streamlabs in a separate window. Give me 1 second. Jesus Christ, it's really not pulling this shit up. I don't know what to say. I apologize. Bruh, can you just open? Okay, it says I found your channel while searching for white noise. Your voice is calming while I sleep. Sorry if it sounds creepy, but thank you. Nothing creepy about it. Appreciate you taking the time to offer a donation and taking the time to type out praise. I'm glad that I can be there for you, and I hope that in the future you'll always have something to keep you company if you so need it. Sorry. Returning to the story. One day we're out carving up some twisty rural back roads when there's lights and sirens behind us, and he pulls over figuring that we're about to get a major ticket. Instead, the cop car goes flying past us, heading somewhere more important. Shortly after pulling back onto the road, a car crests the hill behind us, flies up on our ass, and it was another fast car doing exactly what we were doing on that back road. My friend began to really kick it down, as this was essentially a race as soon as the other car saw us. We spend the next few minutes hammering around the back. Well, thank you for the subscription. Go me. I appreciate it. My friend is telling me that his car is faster, and he can tell because he can stretch the gap between the two cars easily. Then came the decision to slow down and let this car pass and take the lead, sort of like a let's see what this person can do type attitude. After another few minutes, it's very apparent to me my friend's car is much better equipped than his. Not only faster, but his brakes and tires were better, as we had to slow down significantly for every corner. Over the next few turns, the car in front of us would slide and lose stability in the corners as he was trying to push the car past his limit. My friend is telling me this car is known for its instability due to the type of axle that it has. My God, motherfucker, get to it. Still, my friend maintained a very close follow distance. We dipped into a valley and there was a tight right-hand turn. Front car peeled straight off the road and into a grove of large hardwood trees just off the fucking shoulder, going out of sight in a plume of tire and dirt smoke. I can remember not being able to see the car impact due to the steep embankment, but the treetops jolted like crazy. It looked like this tree had shook all of its leaves off at once. I think there was a silent agreement between us that they had most definitely died. They left the road going in excess of 80 to 90 miles an hour. My friend was quiet for a few seconds, then starts screaming, "Holy fuck, no, god damn it, no," etc. He starts panicking, asking me if he should turn around or leave the scene. I told him we should go help if possible. We turned around in a farm field driveway and go back to another car already there. My friend asked me if I will go talk to the guy for him because he's going to be sick. I asked the older guy what the situation was with the driver, and they just nodded and confirmed that they were dead. Ooh. He told me that he was a volunteer firefighter and was headed to call, but he would handle this. I figure he must have been heading where the police car was headed. Ooh. My friend's car never saw the road again except when it pulled onto a trailer when he sold it. He hasn't raced or had any fast cars since. No longer follows motorsport. He talked about the situation one time telling me he felt responsible for pushing that person to their death, had a serious problem with painkillers after the incident. He joined the military, and we no longer talk. Talk about getting hit hard by a situation. Forgive me as I get a little bit more comfortable here. Ow. Jesus, the way I was sitting up until this point was breaking my butt. Breaking my butt. Breaking my butt. Hashtag breaking my butt. As we roll up to the next entry on the list of 20 people who killed and how they cope, I am typing a new song into the playlist. Wow. Sometimes you don't need to race, boys. Sometimes you don't need to race. I've missed these little emotes. They're my life. Number 13. Not my story, but when my dad was in his late 20s, he was driving through the desert somewhere in Mexico, and his brother and a group of friends. With his brother, my bad. It was the middle of the night, and they were on a road in the middle of nowhere that didn't have anything on it for at least another 50 miles, so they were kind of flying down the road, going about 90 miles per hour. Not bad. Not bad. Suddenly, there's a man standing in the middle of the road, and because of how fast they were going, a second later, he hit him. Ooh. He slammed on the brakes, and everyone in the car was freaking out behind him, or looking behind them. As they were stopped and watching, 5 other men came out from the shadows with guns and were just staring at their obviously dead friend. Oh, they were trying to gun y'all down. My man, if y'all were stupid enough to stop, that would have been all your lives. Or maybe just a car stolen, if y'all are lucky. My uncle, his brother, suddenly started yelling at my dad to book it out of there. So he did, and as soon as the car started moving, the men began shooting at the car. They didn't hit the car or anybody, but as soon as they were far away, my uncle, who was a policeman for the LAPD, said he'd heard countless stories of men in the deserts of Mexico pretending that they needed help or a ride and would ambush the car with men hiding in the shadows to steal the car and everything in it. And then they would kill everyone inside. My dad said he thinks about it every once in a while, but he doesn't regret it, as bad as that sounds, because if he hadn't killed him and had stopped, he wouldn't be alive today with my mom, me, and my siblings. Well, goddamn. Goddamn. Pretty scary stuff. Number 12. To this day, I don't blame myself for my grandmother's death. It happened when I was 6 years old. My family and I would visit my grandmother almost every day. She used to be a baker, and even when she retired, she enjoyed doing it in her spare time. Getting ahead of yourself there, Kyle. Enjoyed doing it? Ooh, that's the kind of comment that'll get you in trouble on YouTube. You can't call it that. You're not supposed to say stuff like that. You better move on. In his spare time. In her spare time. She can be whatever she wants to be. Grandma be your grandpa? Dude looks like a lady. So I used to always come over and eat cake and drink tea with her. Fast forward to 6-year-old me, playing and running around the house. I bump into my grandmother and she falls badly on her knee. She goes into the hospital. 2 weeks later, she's dead. I know deep down it had to be something else that she died from, but I can't shake it. I feel this enormous guilt and makes me feel depressed and suicidal. She was the woman I loved most in my life until that point, and I feel like I killed her. That shit hurts your soul. That shit hurts your soul. Bumping into grandma, and then she fall over and she hit her knee. And that's how Grandma used to be, but is no longer. That's not okay. My God, this is a long entry. Give me a second here. Whoop. Number 11. I shot and killed a man who broke into my home and shot me with my own damn shotgun. This is the first time I have written about it here, and I'm not sure I'm going to leave it up. Yeah, he probably deleted this. It's a good thing I had this post open like from 9 hours ago. What, you mad that I got your post that you didn't want to keep up? You think it's okay to leave up a post for a small amount of people, but then take it away when other people want to listen to it? Want to read it? It's not fair. You're going to punish us because we have shit to do? You got me fucked up. I think the wrong person not getting the chance to enjoy a story like this might sneak into somebody's house and find a shotgun. I'm kidding. Number 11. I shot and killed a man who broke into my house and shot me with my own shotgun. I live in a ranch, but it's close enough to the outskirts of civilization that the worst part of it often wash up on my property. This was over 20 years ago. I was in my garage doing some cleaning, and I heard the back door being kicked in. Sorry. I had all the lights in the house off, and the garage had no windows, so I assumed he or they didn't know that I was home. The back door didn't connect to my kitchen, but a room I used to use as an office, and the room was connected to the garage I was in. Thank you, Night Solaire. I appreciate that super chat for $5. He says, oh, was it going to read it?
Haven't been able to watch for 3 months because the army owns my soul now. Pray for your combat medic homies.
All right, man. I appreciate you. But I'm glad that you're in a place where you can watch now. You deserve no less. And we out here praying for you, my man. I just got a message from somebody on Snapchat that has named themselves Fine Big Tits. Man, y'all better stop playing. Okay. I kept my guns in the office, but I'm not the brightest of individuals, and I thought if I rushed now, I could hold up whoever was in there before he, she, or they got to the guns. Stupid mistake in retrospect, because I usually kept a loaded shotgun hanging from the wall just a few feet away from the broken door. Well done, my man. Well done. I kicked the garage office door open, and lo and behold, a bearded crackhead missing his front teeth is standing there with the lights on, giant-ass grin on his face, my gun pointed at me. I said, put him up, and he did a rebel yell, and then he shot me. Well. Thank you for your service, Night Solaire. I felt the father of all body punches hit me and shoved me back into a window. My legs gave and I went down like a tree. Oh my God. Look, back and sideways into the glass and window frame, bouncing my ass on a window sill. That's not what that says. Bouncing my ass on the windowsill and falling on the floor. I'm not sure how fast it actually went because as I hit the floor, I saw him lower the gun. I think he believed he had killed me. I lined up my right arm and fired my revolver once, not aiming really, and I saw the giant fireball out of my gun, then lift him up somewhat from the ground. I hit him center mass with a .357 Magnum, and he never got up again. He had shot me in my left groin/belly area with a 12 GA, number 4 buckshot, most of the shot missing. Otherwise, I guess I'd have no hip left. Still, the shot nicked my femoral artery and penetrated into my lower abdomen as well, later revealed to have hit a kidney and my hip bones. I sat there for what seemed like an eternity. In reality, it had all happened in under 2 to 5 minutes, watching a pool of blood form under me and my skin turn white, and for some reason hallucinating heavily, hearing voices, seeing faces, shapes wander in and out of the walls. again, man, what if all of that shit is real, baby? What if all of the shit that you see when you start, wouldn't it be cool? But we don't know. I felt tired, real tired, and the coldest that I'd ever felt in my life. I felt the urge to get up, but my body wasn't answering. I knew I was going into shock and soon I'd be dead because police response time was over an hour here back then. I said my goodbyes in my head, decided life so far had been fun and worth living, and I then closed my eyes. I woke up nearly a month later in the hospital with the mother of all headaches and looking like the Frankenstein monster left side from the waist down, stitched and stapled all over. Stapled? That's interesting because of my bookmarks. Stitched and stapled all over. Skin turning shades of purple and green. Giant surgical drain coming out of where my hip bone had been. As for what I felt, As for what I felt, I'll never forget that man, and he'll never leave me. Regardless of the upturns my life took afterwards, many might consider me less manly for saying this, but the fear and paranoia of having this happen to you again never really leaves you. Of course not. Of course not. Once y'all have something traumatic as fuck happen to you, you know what I mean? The fear never leaves you. The fear never leaves you. Your house got broken into. It's always going to be a fear that somebody going to break into your house. You know what I mean? You get raped. It's always going to be a fear that someday you'll end up powerless again and get fucking raped. You know what I mean? You get thrown in jail. You know what I mean? Well, the cops come arrest you, whether you did something or not, it's always going to be a fear that it's going to occur again. This happens with all kind of trauma. You know what I'm talking about? And it's fucked up, but that's the way that it goes. You really can't get away from some of this shit. I bet some of y'all had an ass whooping from your parents hardcore enough to where you're scared that it may happen again. Even though you a grown motherfucker now, sometimes you still hear movement outside your house, and you run and you look out the window like, is that mom coming home? Oh shit, I ain't cleaned the bathroom and all that bullshit. I didn't wash the dishes. Sorry, I know that's hitting home for some of y'all. Okay. I know some of y'all I know it's intense. My God. All right, what was I talking about? Was this like a list? Okay, look. Many might consider me less manly for saying this, but the fear and paranoia of this happening to you again never really leave you, and I do feel it took something from me, not my innocence, but some kind of naivety about life. For years, I couldn't take corners or enter empty rooms in my house without mentally preparing myself for a fight. There was a time I couldn't get up from bed at night to get a glass of water without taking a loaded gun with me, just in case. Every night when I lay on my left side, I'm reminded of him. So in a weird way, even though I don't hate him, and even though I don't want to remember, he is forever in my mind. But at least your mind is still capable of thought, because you're still alive, my man. Of the two people who deserve to die most did die. And that's what happened. Forgive me, let me readjust this mic. There it is, my man, for shizzle. As we continue up the remaining 10 on this list of 20 people who killed and how they cope, we arrive at number 10. You know, a lot of different posts so far, but I at least feel somewhat responsible for this one. My grandpa was a troubled person. He had severe PTSD from war and had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. I was 14 when I found out my grandma was divorcing him because he wouldn't get help and was never taking his meds. Basically, she was completely drained and he didn't care. I was at the house when he came up to me and asked if I wanted to go hang out or help him with the garden. We used to do it all the time and I did love hanging out with him. I didn't want to then because I was lazy and it was summer and I just wanted to stay inside on the computer because it was Sunday and I just wanted to relax before school. He was really upset that I didn't want to spend time with him, but told me that he was sorry for the situation with him and my grandmother, and that he would always love me. The next day I got picked up from school and found out that he had shot himself. Ooh. Apparently after I talked to him, he went and got his gun. He waited until the next day when my grandmother was at work, and he was alone, and he shot himself. I know it's not my fault, and it is common for everyone close to someone who commits suicide to blame themselves. Rationally, I know all of this, but even almost 10 years later, I still replay that day in my head. Maybe if anything, I could have just spent one more day with him. He was troubled, but also one of the kindest people I knew. There were so many signs that he was suicidal, but nobody did anything. What can you do sometimes when somebody makes up their mind? Somebody says, if it makes you feel any better, I have a suspicion that he had already made this decision when he came to hang out with you for the last time. This be the truth. Number 9. I posted the story of what happened a while ago on another AskReddit, but long story short, I killed a meth head who broke into my grandfather's house when I was 14 years old. How'd you do that, you little 14-year-old motherfucker? You have a gun? It fucked with me for a long time, and still actually does, occasionally. I carry a gun every day, where I'm allowed to, and am fairly paranoid about noises in my house at night. For the coping part, I just had to keep telling myself that I was justified, and if I hadn't, they would have probably hurt me if not killed me. The image itself is pretty much burned into my mind forever, but again, it comes down to telling myself that I did what I had to do. Sometimes it is them or you. Somebody asking the real question, how'd you fucking do it, you little 14-year-old motherfucker? Were you armed? And the little dude says, yes. I was staying in the same room as my grandpa's gun cabinet, so I got one of his shotguns out. Goddamn, shotgun's messy, motherfucker. But I'm glad that nobody else was hurt. Somebody said, smart thinking for a 14-year-old. This is America, okay? Guns have a purpose. And when the conditions are met, so to speak, oh my God. It is me, a bad guy. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh yeah? Locked and loaded. Some bullshit like that. Hit him with some one-liner from a shitty movie. It's been revoked. I should have read 15. I'm running out of stamina. Number 18. -10. I don't know if you'd say I killed her or not, but I felt like it. I was working PRN as a nurse at a nursing home. It was Christmas morning, and I was only working until noon. I had split the day with another nurse so that we could both see our families on Christmas. I had assessed a patient who was 92 years old and thought that she might be coming down with pneumonia. I didn't have time to call a doctor to get a chest x-ray ordered and instead reported it off to the nurse that came in. I was in a hurry to leave because I promised my family I'd be home by 1. The nurse never called the doctor and I forgot to report it to the next shift. She died 2 days later. It crushed me. I try to make a point never to leave work for the next shift, and that instance just hit me so hard as to why you follow through with unusual assessments and nursing intuition. It hurts to think about. I know she was 92, but it's still hard when you think that there was something else that could have been done. It's not as hard to lose patience with you. No, sorry. It broke my brain because I think it's incorrect. I think what it means to say is it's not as hard to lose patience, which you can confidently say that you did everything you could. It says with, though. So, what? I swear to God, I just felt like something was crawling on me. But it's probably just my goddamn, like the hairs on my fucking hand. It sent the jittery mingly woms up my tiddly tum doobs. What the hell? And I'm in a dark room as usual, so I was like spinning my hand in the dim light of the monitor as it flickers because I need to get a new one. Ain't that a bitch? Number 7. I assisted my father and brother to kill a man who tried to rob and burn our house during this riot. The May 1998 riots of Indonesia. Africa, Mexico, Sicily, Tijuana, India, Osaka, Indonesia. Somebody's gonna get that. But only if they're a mega weeb. If you're like a hardcore gangsta nerd, then you'll know what that's all about. Or maybe you got quick fingers and you can just type shit into YouTube or Google, and then when it comes up, you'll be all like, yeah, I know what you mean, Kyle, yeah. Poser. My family happened to be in the minority that got targeted, and during these riots like that, it will be an everyone for themselves kind of situation. No one can be called for help. The law in the country itself was temporarily paralyzed. And how does it feel? It feels nice to survive, to be able to continue living. How do we cope with it? By being alert and aware. Living in places where either there are so many different minorities we become majority, or always have an escape route if the country shows signs of being unstable or unstable again. Oh boy. JKER 2012 says, well, what happened to Twitch? Twitch will always be there, and I will use it exclusively for gaming. And I'll go back to doing the lists here. I'll try to make that more clear as we approach the end of the list. As we continue, we are now at number 6. Holy balls. I'm an intensive care unit nurse. On average, once a month, I switch off someone's ventilator and life support, and I always cry. I just do my best to try and support the family, but it takes a little of my soul every time. Forgive me. If it helps, you can think of me as getting broken up instead of just yawning. Somebody responds with a story, and the story reads, the button that still sucks the most or sticks the most with me was a homeless person that came into our emergency room who collapsed with a massive brain bleed. No other medical history, pretty good health in his 80s, fucking 40s, Jesus, and perfect organ donor when LifeShare evaluated him. I'm so sorry. I'm like borderline antsy as fuck right now. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I feel like let me stop, because if I were to genuinely describe my symptoms, and I know it's just me, it would sound like I was on drugs, but I'm not. I promise you. Look, no other medical history, pretty good health in his 40s, and perfect organ donor when LifeShare evaluated him. We tried every way we found, or every way we had to find a single family member to let them know what was going on and to get approval for a donation, but we couldn't find anyone. Which meant that there was not a single person who knew this guy in our emergency room. Not a single person who knew him was aware that he was laying here dying and only alive because of our ventilation. In the end, LifeShare had to give up and leave, and since it was a massive terminal brain bleed, we got the order to terminate. I knew he was already gone, but as I was standing there, I was the only person left who was his connection to this world, who knew he even existed and was dying. We were fairly slow for emergency room standards, and I worked with a great crew, and we had one of those moments where nobody had to say anything as we looked at each other and decided that nobody deserved to die alone. I pulled up a chair, turned his vent off, and sat down next to him. My coworkers answered my lights and took care of my other orders as I sat there and watched his SATs drop and his heart rate slow before hitting PVCs, then a VFIB, and finally flatlining over the next 10 minutes. When his EKG was flat for a few minutes, I turned off the monitor, took 30 seconds for myself, walked back out into the chaos of the emergency room. Flipping the switch doesn't kill them, it liberates them. An interesting outlook. A hello to everybody once again in the stream chat. Here's hoping you had a sexy day and that things only get better as we continue. Hope you're all well. And I hope you're all not breaking people's hearts, you little monsters. Number 5. A distant relative listed me as their healthcare proxy and had a living will that indicated that they did not wish to be kept alive by medical intervention when there was no hope of meaningful recovery. Oh yeah? Hello, Michael Palermo. Okay. Coda Poppin said Mondays are never sexy. Mondays are what you make them, my man. Okay. I noticed one dude named Garfield, he loved Mondays. You know what I'm talking about? This relative's attending doctor and a hospital committee agreed that a meaningful recovery was not possible. I had life support discontinued and he died about a day later. I knew that my relative chose me as his healthcare proxy over a closer family member because he knew that I would honor his wishes, even if it emotionally was difficult for me, even if his wife and children would never speak to me again, which they have not. Can you imagine? People won't blame you for shit like that. That's sad. That's kind of scary. I cope by focusing on the idea that I helped him to die on his terms. I made sure that he didn't suffer unnecessarily in the last few days or weeks that he might have had left. Oh. You did not. Joe Man said he did 90 miles per hour on the freeway to hear this live stream. You did not. Oh boy. As we roll up to number 5 though, on the list of 20 people who killed and how they cope. It reads, a distant relative listed me as their healthcare. Boy, did you just read this? Number 4. Damn, baby. Y'all out here on these novels, my dude. Read 15 entries in the future. You're killing yourself. At least someone made a throwaway for this entry, but you would figure if it were juicy, then it would be gilded. This isn't a competition, Kyle. Read the entry. I've never told this to anyone on Reddit before. Ooh, so spicy. You know what I mean? Shortly after I got my license, when I was a teenager, I ended up in a very fast car. Why you gotta make a Tracy Chapman reference, Kyle? One which was far more powerful than I was used to, and far too powerful for me to be driving. After work, and quite late on, I went out to meet some friends. I picked them up, and we all went out for a ride. Those of us that could drive had a shot of the car, and we all took turns on the motorway going fast and generally being stupid. Afterwards, we went into a quiet residential area, and as I said before, it was late past midnight on a weekday, so the streets were empty. I was driving, and as I approached a long straight, I accelerated, simply to show off to my friends in the car. Here in my car, I feel ironically safe, 'cause we are going to crash, and someone will die in the car. At one point, one of my friends asked me to slow down, and I took my foot off the accelerator, but by that point I was going far too fast and didn't realize that there was a part of the road which stuck out. I swerved to avoid it and lost control of the car, and I flipped several times and hit a tree. Drive aside. On. I'm really sorry. It's gonna take a lot of effort to keep the Kyle in now, because I needed to have ended this already. I don't remember much past this point, as I was badly injured as well, but I remember someone asking if everyone was okay, and then someone saying our friend's name and that it was bad. I turned to try and look behind me, and all I saw was his face. I heard his breathing, and if you've ever heard what's called a death rattle, then you'll know the sound, and you never forget it, nigga. Y'all don't want to know what a death rattle sounds like, dude. I didn't know at the time, but that was what it was. He died almost instantly, and that was his body shutting down. 5 seconds before the accident, my actions felt inconsequential. We were having fun. Because of those actions, because of my actions, a teenager, a child in my eyes now, was taken from his parents, his family, those who loved him, cared for him, from his friends, from his life. He was a couple of years younger than us. We took care of him, joked, laughed, talked about the future, our dreams, aspirations. I took these away from him and from the world. I destroyed a family and caused grief that should never be felt. We get it, my dude. Shame, regret, sorrow, that's what I feel, and I felt it for 16 years, and he'd have been 32 years old this month. I think of him in that night in my actions every day, and I have a photograph of him that I place in my bedroom so that it's the first thing and last thing I see before I go to bed and I wake up. How do I cope? I don't think I can. I don't think I can call it pain anymore. It's not pain, it's part of me, and however I feel inconsequential in comparison to the damage I've caused to others. I can sit here, I can type this with tears rolling down my cheeks, and then I'll go on with my day. I now know that my actions have consequences, and it took someone dying for you to learn that. You know what I mean? You know? Look, guys, I know what it's like to want to live on the edge. I know what it's like to want to feel alive. I know what it's like to see people out there and laugh at them because they out there slitting their wrists. But when you think about it, you know why they're doing it, dude. You don't have to question why. It's to feel something. Because sometimes feeling something is better than feeling nothing. But maybe I don't need to ride the line between life and death so hard to feel something, you know? You can ruin your life instead. That's what a lot of people do. But make sure you're ruining your life, my dude, and not bringing other people along for that ride, figuratively or literally. Literally in this case. I mean, both ways, huh? Figuratively and literally. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. As we continue up this list, we reach number 3. I felt the side of his skull collapse and a massive sigh of relief. The guy tried to mug me, pulled me into an alley, kicked me to the ground. I landed on some pipe and swung it blindly as hard as I could. My man. The guy dropped to the ground, and the right half of his face was caved in. You look, if I ever get attacked by somebody and manage to best them after, you better believe the triumphant screams that I yell will make anybody in earshot believe that I was the aggressor, because it would be like a Halo 3 post someone's death gloat. It'd be like, uh-oh, looks like you done fucked up. Baby, you got knocked the fuck out. World star. And I'd hit the pipe on the ground, but I'd do it rhythmically. I'd be like, and then I'd go, bum, 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 bum. And if somebody was around, they'd be like, oh my God, that black guy just killed a man. Oh my God. But he attacked me. But he attacked me. The reason I say Halo 3 is because a lot of you may not know this, because now we live in a world where everybody's easily offended, and anything you say that's not a pat on the back or just like an affirmation of how a man wants to live his life as a woman or whatever, it's toxic. But back in the day, Halo used to allow you, even if you were on the other team, to be able to hear what the other person said. If they were close enough to you, it was like proximity chat. So if I was in close proximity or near the other person, I could hear them. And then when I killed them in the game, or if they killed you, whoever the person that survived was, they would be allowed to actually have a little bit of time to gloat without the other person being able to hear them. So here's the example. If I killed you, I could then say my words. I could then go, well, it looks like you fucked up. You know what I mean, motherfucker? Looks like I just made you a sandwich. You know what I mean? I could bust you in your shit and then say, my God, you took it from behind just like your mother. You know what I'm talking about? Oh my God. I could just shoot you in the face and then just say, ooh, I prefer the air to your existence. Look at the space that I'm inhabiting here. So much more preferable than you. And it was harmless. It was harmless fun. Maybe it would get people to play better. You know what I mean? Not a big deal. Oh my God. Olivia Louise says, live chat, finally, I love you so much, Kyle. I love you too, Olivia Louise. That's 2 first names. Well, I don't know. It depends on where you feel about Gael. You gotta get through this, my dude. So number 3, forgive me for my interjection. I felt the side of his skull collapse and a massive sigh of relief. A guy tried to mug me, pulled me into an alley and kicked me to the ground. I landed on a pipe, swung as hard and blind as I could at the guy, and the guy dropped to the ground with the right side of his face completely caved in. The police came and let me go. I guess the guy was a repeat offender because one of the officers recognized him, took my report, and let me go home. I don't really talk about it unless it gets brought up. I'm not some big dude or anything. I'm like 5'6" with a dad body. Dad body. I just got really lucky, you know? Oh boy. What's going on in his responses? Of something I learned after spending a lot of time speaking to cops who many would-be local criminals are known by name by the police due to past offenses. It's pretty scary how people just commit crimes, you know, over and over and over and over. You know, most of us feel like if we were driven to do something so terrible, you know, if we were driven to steal or for whatever reason to, I don't know. I feel like most of us are so down to earth that if we were going to be guilty of a crime, it would literally just be possession, you know, maybe public intoxication, maybe, you know, running some red lights. Is that a crime? It's not legal, but you know what I mean? Shit like this, you know, we got some weed, you know what I'm talking about? We got some cocaine. Oh no. You know what I mean? Oh no. Against your laws. You know what I mean? We trying to have a good time on our own and not bother anything. You know, if you're driving drunk, that's a little extreme as far as I'm concerned, my dude. If you're out there robbing people, if you're out there, but you know, busting people in the face with shit and almost killing them with weapons and stuff, that's a little extreme. But I like the idea that if we were to ever hit something, we would try to be a little more careful in the future. But some of these repeat offenders do not give a fuck, man. It's just like crime. I'm like, okay, calm that down, please. Nat says, I got a speeding ticket a month ago and I'm still stressing. You taking that to court, baby? You taking that to court? You're too fine to worry about no speeding ticket, girl. Just get on the internet and have some dude take care of that problem for you, okay? And then you and your man can use the excess money and go to what's like a really white people thing to do? I can go to like a country show. That's not as funny as it could have been, Kyle. You gotta try harder. I gotta go get some avocados. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna go. Come on. Number 2, I was walking in an alley and I saw a mugging. Male robber, female victim. Transitioned into an attempted rape. I froze. He saw me, stopped, strode towards me, brandishing a knife. The girl ran. I had a death wish and thought this is how it ends. So I put up a fight at least. I thought saving someone's life in exchange for mine was a good enough of a final memory. He attacked first, bloody scuffle, managed to stab his throat with his knife, but I got lacerations on my hands, forearms, and face. Adrenaline probably kept me alive until help came and rushed me and the bastard to the hospital. He died, I didn't. Fucked up for months, still alive, and I'm now slightly cringing when I see blades. You saved that girl's life in more ways than one. I think I had a ticket that was more. Oh shit. Hannah, give me your oh my God, Hannah, give me Give me your PayPal link. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'll admit to you guys, Hannah helped me out with a ticket that I got recently because all I have are American Express cards, and when I called their asses up, because get this, the ticket that I got, it was like one of those like you rolling through a light and the light goes off as it catches your ass during a yellow light type bullshits. Suck my balls, cameras on stoplights. And I call up the people who's supposed to handle the tickets, and they're like, oh, we don't have that yet. You're supposed to call the camera company. And I'm like, what? AIDS. So I call up the camera company, and they're all like, we don't take American Express. And I'm like, all right, my dude. All right. Y'all guys trying to get me to go show up somewhere in person, handing over the court some fucking cash, but I couldn't hand over the cash to the court because it wasn't yet in the courts. It was being handled by the third party fucking camera system. But let's not roast, the way that things work in our country. Let's finish this list. Our first list back, celebratory list of 20 people who killed and how they cope. Is this the kind of morbid shit that you wanted to have back on your channel for the first day? Shouldn't you have done something a little more happy, a little more jovial? That's not how I work. Y'all wanted a makeup tutorial. Y'all know where to go, baby. Oh, yes. Number 1. Ooh, baby. I hit a child with my car a few years ago. Upvote. Not because, that's good, but because, like, damn, baby, it can't get better than this. Not better. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, this is for this list. Holy shit. I had a child with my car a few years ago and they died almost instantly. I've been driving for less than a year at that point, and I was driving through a neighborhood that had lots of cars parked on the side of the road. A 4-year-old kid ran out in front of my car and I had less than a second to stop. I bumped her pretty hard. She was knocked over. She hit her head on the pavement and apparently died instantly. I went numb. My surroundings suddenly started fading and I almost passed out. As I got out of the car, I saw her blood all over the road and I vomited everywhere. Her mom came over and was screaming, the worst sound I'd ever heard. The police saw that there was literally nothing I could have done and let me go. Here's something to talk about, all right? Here's something to talk about. I love a good post that provokes a fucking discussion. And here's the fucking discussion, all right? And some of y'all are white. So, you may have less to worry about in a scenario like this, okay? And don't make it seem like I'm getting all SJW about it. I really don't care. I'm just saying, some white people, you know what I mean? They are dying to exercise some post-apocalyptic vengeance on, minorities, because in their head, they are dying. They are dying for the opportunity to just get ridiculous. My point in saying that is this. If any of you, listen up everybody, because I want your genuine answers. If any of you were to hit a child on the street, the obvious thing that you should do is stop, my dude. The obvious thing that you should do is stop. But would you be scared enough that the parents, when they see it, would try to be violent with you to fucking leave? You know what I mean? We're not even going to entertain the idea of a hit and run. Let's just say the alternative is you hitting this kid and then driving straight to the police station to be like, I just hit this kid, but I was scared that if I stayed there, that the parent might go get a gun, that the parent might go get crazy and get violent on me. I didn't feel safe and I came straight here. So I guess to make it easier, if you hit a kid with your car, whether it was your fault or not, and you knew that the parents were near, right? Would you stay there and risk the violence of a possibly armed set of parents or relatives? Who the hell did that?
Glad to see you live on YouTube again. I watch your videos every night to get through my graveyard shift. Thank you for commentary.
Well, I appreciate you, Dorky Sandman. And thank you for liking the commentary, because I know it pisses some people off. But again, these were supposed to be established as a podcast style thing. And I'll try to do more edited videos where there's less of my input in them for those who are invested in me shutting the hell up. But this is an interesting query. Like, this is an interesting question as far as I'm concerned, and I genuinely want to know what people would do if you hit a kid, my dude. And if you're listening to this after the fact when it's being posted up on YouTube, leave a comment, because I really want to know. If you hit a kid, would you stay there, okay, and wait for whatever to come, knowing that the parents might get violent, or would you drive straight to a police station? And the only reason I brought up the black people thing is because, hey man, I like to think that if the wrong white people had some black dude hit they fucking kid, some black lady hit they fucking kid, or some Mexican or whatever ethnicity dude, you know, I feel like they would run in their house, get a fucking gun, and then plap, plap. What if it was a cop's kid? What if it was a cop's kid, my dude? Okay? How about that? You wouldn't even be safe at the police station. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's finish this post. God damn. That's scary as hell. Jay Drizzle says, I would stay there. I mean, I just killed their kid. I should at least stay until help arrives. But I don't know. That's what I'm saying. In my heart of hearts, I obviously want to say, of course, I wouldn't flee, even if I were going to the police station. But I know how people can be. And more importantly, I know how emotional people can be, dude. And that's the horror. That's the horror of the situation. Olivia says, no, your input is why I watch your videos. Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate you. And that. And this. Me snapping my fingers. Oh, man. Linda says, I honestly don't know what I would do. I'm having anxiety thinking about it. Rebecca says, that happened in my street. A pizza guy hit a kid who ran out in front of him. It was an Islander family, and these people are huge. The guy stopped and was swamped by 20 people. Well, exactly. I'm not even speaking out of experience. I'm just speaking out of common fucking sense. You know what I mean? People come home to somebody in bed with they woman, with they man, and they beat the shit out of everybody and then kill himself. You know what I'm talking about? Imagine your kid out in the street and somebody, bop, and your kid's dead. That's what you come out and you see. Somebody dead, right? Your kid is dead and somebody just sitting in their car, or I just hit him. You know what I mean? Maybe you're not going to be seeing logic or reason, my dude. You know, maybe all you're going to be seeing is red, and you're going to go inside and you're going to get a weapon and come back outside, my dude. And here's the thing. If it's a blunt object, you know, if it's a pipe, if it's a bat, maybe you'll have enough time to have them beat up the window or the windshield. You know what I mean? And then, oh, now I'm driving away to show the police that, hey, they were violent against the car. You can see the marks. You know what I mean? But if it's a gun, maybe you ain't gonna have that chance, baby. Maybe you're not gonna have the chance to show the police, you know, that you fled because maybe they'll make that shot count. That's all I'm saying. It's a horrifying thing to think about. Oh boy, KRS, hey Kyle, I like you are voice. It's stuff like that makes me keep streaming. Love you guys. That's not the you're looking for. You're a jerk, Kyle. As we finish the story, forgive me for my input. Jesus, I couldn't hold it back. This is a really interesting conundrum to me. I'd been driving for less than a year up until this point, and you know, a 4-year-old kid ran out into the road and I bumped her head. She knocked over and hit the damn pavement. Her mom came over and started screaming. It's the worst sound that I've ever heard. The police saw that there was literally nothing that I could do or could have done, and they let me go. As for dealing with it, I don't do it well. The first 6 months after it happened, I was either drunk or high on painkillers and weed almost 90% of the time, because it was the only thing that made me forget what I had done. I stopped drinking and replaced it all with self-harm. And continuing to do drugs for about 2 years. Man, this list has got it all. Kid killing, drinking, drugs, rape, self-harm. You know, all the reasons why this video is going to be invisible as far as the algorithm on YouTube is concerned. But hey, I didn't get into the YouTube business for fame. I got into it to have no chill. Oh man. One of my favorite videos is now my channel's trailer. It's the Jessica Price video. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's basically a bitch who got fired for being unprofessional on Twitter. You know, I feel like if you're a woman in the workplace and you can't embrace the fact that if you're going to get on social media in a public capacity and say things that have to do with the company that you're working for without the understanding that you are a representative of that company when you're speaking in a public capacity on a public platform, that, you know, you shouldn't be roasting motherfuckers and saying all kind of rude shit and calling people asshats and shit like that. It just makes me cry laughing. So she got fired, and I was reading her back and forth like little, but I put on a little voice for her because she's a fool as far as I'm concerned. She's trying to play that vagina card when it's really not about that. It was about her conduct being unprofessional. And as far as a business or a company is concerned, of course you're going to be let fucking go if you don't fucking get with the program as far as treating people in the public sphere with respect, treating the customer, you know, like they matter and they're relevant. And there's a golden rule that of course she could have exercised, which was shutting the fuck up, which is some people don't get that. Some people don't get when it comes to certain things, just shut up. So I'm going to follow my own rule and continue with the rest of this list. Blah, blah, blah. Didn't deal with it well. You know, words that get me made invisible by YouTube. Anyway, the one day her mom shows up at my house and wants to talk to me. In all honesty, the initial thought was that was going through my head is oh shit, she's here to kill me and get revenge. Which was then followed by I hope she does it so I don't have to live with all the guilt anymore. Wow. She hadn't come to do that. She came to forgive me. She told me that it was hard for her to do, but she ultimately realized that my killing her daughter wasn't her fault. I burst into tears, hugged her for a solid minute while we both cried our eyes out. Even now, 3 years later, I still think about it, and every day I still hate myself. I still have depression. I'm still suicidal. I don't know how to deal with it, but I'm still here, I guess. I just sort of see this as my eternal hell. You'll be fine. Jesus. Rebecca's saying the pizza guy who fled didn't get in trouble for fleeing as the family was aggressive. But would he have gotten in trouble if he drove straight to a police station and told them the reason I left is because I was horrified that they would, that they would kill me? I feel like that's a very intense question that I have. You know? What do you do? I feel like I need to get a dash cam because now it's a genuine thing that I'm horrified about. You know? Drive straight to the police, say, hey, this little motherfucker jumped in front of my car. You know how kids are. They're fucking crazy. I was scared that their parents were going to come out and whoop my ass. I did not flee the scene. I came straight to the police station. Review the tape. I'm going straight to the police station. Yes, I stopped to get some McDonald's, but it was breakfast time. They had that breakfast bagel. I like to swap out the bacon for the sausage and substitute a round egg for that bullshit that they normally fold on top of it. You know what I mean? You got that breakfast sauce on it. It's very nice. This video is sponsored not by McDonald's, but by my Amazon wish list. That's in the it's in the description below. I recently put things on there like a pair of shorts that I genuinely need. Or a replacement auxiliary cable. You can be the one to do that. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. One of you do it. Come on. I've been away forever, and now I'm back from outer space. And now y'all out here with that sad look upon your face. Sponsors, I appreciate you. I love you. You're here for me, Look at you. You're just doing what you do. Doing what you do. I'll be back on YouTube. What do you guys expect? What do you guys want? Whatever you want, I'll be here, Patrons, I love you. And I think of you at night when I look up at my ceiling, It's all about you. You know, who am I to not think of my patrons on a nightly basis? Do you even like my emotes, Hannah? Okay, Linda, I love you too. Central Texas Outdoors. We go hard in that Kyle stream, he says. Uh-oh. So, yes, I hope you enjoyed that stream. It was a bit dark, but the dark ones are interesting. And they create an interesting dialogue. I'm sorry for being an idiot. My teacher is an incel neckbeard. Maybe I should read that for an individual video. Right about meow. Y'all want it snowing in Fortnite? Oh my god, who cares? You know what I want? Oh my god, Sadeja. Sweetie, you didn't even say anything. What an angel. I love you. Thank you for being amazing, and I hope that your day is made equally insane with the people inside you. What? With the people in your day? Dialogue. Oh my god. I really appreciate you, Shadeja. That's pretty hardcore. That's pretty hardcore. Guys, you will catch me again soon. And I wish Fallout 76 beta would come out already, because I have beaten the living crap out of Spider-Man. I've beaten the living crap out of Spider-Man. Thank you, James Moore, for the subscription. When New Game Plus for Spider-Man comes out, I will play that again. And then until then, you guys will see me again tomorrow at the same time. Did I stream early today? And I think that worked out, you know? So I'll try for like an 8:30 stream from now on. Maybe that's a little weird, but I think it works out better for people. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Why is Grievous saying what? Are you saying wait what to the 8:30 streams? Is an hour early too much? I think it's better, man. I think it's better. You know? I think the hour early streams are better. Come on. Come on. Agree with me. Agree with me. You gotta agree. Petition to make upvote vault. Come on. Boy. Batman, shut up. Alright. We'll see you guys later. Have an amazing night. Be bussin', coda poppin'. Send your suggestions or anything that you found to me in the Discord, which is in the description, or the Snapchat, which is in the description, or do something on the wish list, which is in the description. I believe in you. Actually, I may use Sadeja's donation to get those shorts. Sadeja's helping me in a big way. Or I could use them to get the auxiliary cable and use the headphones to run on the treadmill with the heads. What? End the stream. Guys, love you. Talk to you soon. Stay amazing.